Hello everyone, welcome to Rock Talk. I'm your host, Allie Sturm, and today I'm joined by former Rockies outfielder and current Root Sports personality, Ryan Spilborghs. Spilly, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Allie. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Where are you right now?
I have just finished golfing at the Pinery in Parker, Colorado. It was really nice outside. It was 40 degrees, so I figured what better way to spend a day than go golfing.
What have you been up to these last couple of months? Golfing a lot?
Yeah, well, it's the first off season I've ever had where I didn't have to train to play baseball. Even last year, I was still training up until January, getting ready for baseball, and then I decided to move on from baseball. So now I'm pretty much just playing basketball at a rec center and playing golf when I can when people say they want to pay for my golf.
Well, there you go. So let's talk
Yeah.
about your Rockies career. What was your favorite memory?
Probably the World Series run. I think when we talk about it, the former players, we think back as that team as more of like a really good high school championship team, like a team that won state. I think most people remember their high school friends as being like their closest group of buddies because you're in the same boat, and it was a really rare thing for us with Major League Baseball and the way professional baseball is to have that type of camaraderie where, I mean, we all keep in touch. All those guys on that '07 team still keep in touch, and the fact that we made it to the World Series, whether we got swept or not, it was just a totally enjoyable thing and something that I'll never, ever forget. No matter what personal accolades I ever got or the walk-off home run, it never counted to me as much as that group of guys and making it to the World Series like we did.
Definitely, but you did have that amazing walk-off home run against the Giants. Can you take me through that at bat?
Yeah, that was a very emotional time for me. That year in itself was just, it was crazy. I got married. My wife was pregnant. We had a kid. I lost my mom that year. It was just, for me personally, I got the opportunity at the start of the season to have a starting job. I lost it when Clint Hurdle got fired to some guy named Carlos Gonzalez, who I still don't understand why they ever let him play. And, you know, as that season progressed, I kind of lost track of my personal, what I brought to the team, which was always team first. And, you know, I kind of felt sorry for myself because of all the different things on and off the baseball field that was just taking me away from being the good teammate that I wanted to be. I was being selfish, and that walk-off homer was kind of funny because I struggled throughout that whole game. I think I have a quote in the Denver Post that said I went from zero to hero in one swing. And, you know, me running around the bases crazy like that it was a lot of emotion because of the game. It was a huge, important game for us as far as where we were in standings against the Giants. We never liked the Giants. And for me, you know, yelling for them to get off my field was a lot of emotion for me personally, just letting everything that's gone on that year come out. And then that embrace of the team was pretty much like a metaphor for them bringing me back to who I always was, which was team first. So that one means a lot.
Both great memories. So I'm going to put you on the spot here. Within your Rockies career, who was a pitcher you dominated, and then who was a pitcher that dominated you?
Well, it's a funny story. I really dominated Jamie Moyer. Jamie Moyer, I owned him, but I'd like to say the one that dominated me the most and the one I dominated was the same guy, and that was Clayton Kershaw. And his first couple of years that he was in the big leagues, I owned him. I hit a bunch of homers off of him. He could not get me out. And then he learned how to throw the slider. And from that point forward, I never, ever could get a hit off of him. And because of my past history of doing so well, I always had to face him. So I would come up knowing that we were going to face Kershaw and just beg, like, please don't let me face him today. And there I was in the lineup hitting third or something like that because, like I said, my previous history of owning him forced me into the lineup. And if you look up now, guys that have faced him a bunch of times, I think I'm in the top 5 of guys that have faced him the most. And he's owned me ever since the first 2 years of his career.
Wow. And then after your Rockies career, you went and traveled abroad to Japan and played there for a year. What was that experience like for you?
It was eye-opening. It was great. You talk about a culture that has it right as far as just the structure of life. They're very oriented for what they do. They take pride in everything that they do as far as their work. I mean, if you go into a 7-Eleven, I use that as my prime example. You go into a 7-Eleven in Japan, they'll greet you. They'll say, "Hello, welcome to our store." They'll count out your money to you after you pay. They look you in the eye. I think that gets lost here in the States. And then the hierarchy, if someone's older than you and they've done something, you instantly give them respect. And that is something, again, that I feel is lost. I think we tend to look at our elders, and because they've gotten older, we don't value them as much as they should. They have so much, wealth of knowledge to give to us. And at times I think we lose sight of that. We always want to be the young gun, the up and comer, somebody, gunning for whatever. And you fail to look at the people that have gone before you and that have done it for a long time and take their advice, or look at what they've done and say that what they do is old fashioned, where most of the time after you do things for a long time, you come back full circle and realize that the way that those people were doing it, your elders are doing it the right way. So that part, to me, that culture was incredible. It was an invaluable learning experience for myself, coming back and trying to do the same things the Japanese people, how to treat people. It was good for my family. They were with me for a couple months for my children to understand, that you respect your elders, that you listen instead of talk, and then you talk when you're given the opportunity.
So Spilly, can you tell me what the difference was between playing baseball in the States and then playing baseball in Japan?
To me, it's the fans. The fans are great. They're just so into the game. They're so passionate. They sing songs in between every at bat. One of my favorite things is if you go to a game like the Tokyo Dome, people, like in the States, after a game, there's nachos, there's popcorn on the ground, there's empty soda cans. In Japan, everyone takes a trash bag and cleans up their spot. So after the game, the stadium looks perfect. Nobody really has to clean it. And that part's that's their culture. That's the way that they treat their own stuff. And I've always loved that. I would love to go back, experience it again. Me personally playing there, I didn't do very well. I did well in certain aspects, but I didn't really do well enough to really have a chance to really, really enjoy it. But it was so much fun.
And then you talked a lot about the wisdom and the culture and just the experience of that. Did you, this is probably a tough question, but have a favorite off the field memory during your time in Japan?
Yeah, for sure. I loved in Japan, I'd always have Mondays off. So Sundays I would leave with one of my Japanese buddies, and he couldn't speak English, I couldn't speak Japanese, and we would drive down to what's called Chiba, the Chiba coastline. We go surf. So I really learned, even being from Santa Barbara, I really learned how to surf was in Japan on the Japanese coast. And, I'd go out after those day games. On Sunday, we go into Shibuya, which is like a really famous area in Japan, have a nice dinner, and then we go to the beach. And I mean, talk about relaxing in the middle of a crazy summer where you're away from your family, and just to feel grounded by the waves and the fact that I'm surrounded and adapting to their culture.
And now you've made the transition from being a baseball player to being part of the media. What was that like for you to make that transition?
The transition was easy, more or less, because the people I work with Root Sports, the partnership we have with the Rockies, they were so welcoming. It was like being on a team where everyone's supporting you, they're helping you, and I was constantly just asking, what do I have to do to get better? And people would give me the feedback. It was constructive or saying something I did wrong. I don't oppose those things. I actually welcome them. I ask for that feedback because that's the only way I'll ever get better. And then my teammates or former teammates, making sure when I talked or when I said something, whether I was being critical or constructive, that at the end of the day, when those guys saw me, because that's one of the biggest problems I have with certain media outlets or some fans that hide behind Twitter. You can say certain things and then not have to ever see the guy or interact with them. I interact with them every day. So whatever I said, I was accountable for that, and I appreciate that. And being able to say what I felt, what I saw, and whether it was constructive or criticism, to have those guys look at me and go, "Spilly, you're right." That meant a lot to me, just because I never wanted to be the type of media person that comes in and pretends like the game is easy, because I know it's not. And I also wanted to be shooting straight from the hip. So when I do see something that isn't right, or when the guys aren't playing to their capability, I can say it, and the player knows that I'm telling the truth, because whatever I say to the player is what I would say to him in the locker room. I was always vocal in a locker room. I'd always tell you, even if I wasn't an everyday player, if you were taking your batting practice not seriously, or you were doing little things like missing the national anthem, I would tell you that. And those are the little things that were important to me and important to our team, as far as being a collective group where we bought into, we're going to play for each other. So I still take that mentality into my root sports job, and hopefully it comes across to the fans and people that listen, and my former teammates and current people that are working, that I'm passionate about what I do, and I appreciate the effort that they put in the baseball game.
Well, I think you've really seen that you took that passion and that constructive criticism that you obviously have to entail being an athlete, and you moved that over into your media career. But what was it like that first time you walked into the clubhouse with a mic?
It was weird. It's hard to go up to your friends and interview them, because as a media person, you kind of have to ask the tough questions. If I sugarcoat everything, I'm not being true to my media job. I think I have to ask the questions that the fan at home wants to ask or wants to know. And for my teammates, that they know that I have to ask those things, because that's my job. That's what I'm asked to do. That's what I'm paid to do. And if I don't do that, then I'm not doing anybody a service, especially Root or the fans at home that love the Rockies as much as I do, that I'm doing my job right. And so I think having those relationships, and for the players to know that I'm coming for them, with the idea that I understand how hard the game is and I get what they're going through, to give me the soundbite that I need, because that's what people want to hear. We can't always sugarcoat things. No.
So I'm going to have you put on your Root broadcast hat for a second. What are you most excited about for this upcoming 215 Rockies team?
Well, I think everybody's in the same boat, where we're excited about the new air of freshness, where you have a new front office. You have guys like Jeff Bridich, who is the new GM. He's been with the Rockies since 2005. I met him the very first day in winter development, and I think it's exciting to see where they're going to take us. And more importantly, you look at the last couple of years. Injuries, that's not really an excuse, but there is some validity behind it. Maybe getting a healthy Tula, Cargo, and seeing what other moves might be made this offseason. Winter meetings are coming up, to see how are the Rockies gonna reestablish themselves and make themselves move forward in a very tough division.
And you're going to be reunited with some of the players soon at Fantasy Camp, February 4th through 8th. You were a coach last year as well. What is Fantasy Camp all about?
Oh, Fantasy Camp's all about fun. I mean, plain and simple. It's a chance for anybody, regardless of your level of play, whether you've played before or never played before, to get out on a baseball field around former major leaguers, current major leaguers, and have fun and play a game that you love, and find out how hard the game is. You should see how many people are in the training room after every single day. There's like 1,000 people. There's only 100 people at Fantasy Camp, 1,000 people in the training room getting ice, taped up. It's funny. It is so much fun to watch these people play. I enjoy it. I love it, because it's a game. It's a kid's game, and for adults to get an opportunity to come out there, Arizona, Salt River Fields, which is so nice, beautiful facility, put on a Rockies uniform, take an at bat, be a pitcher, play shortstop. I mean, all the things you can think about without any of the athletic ability that you should be to play any of those sports or positions, but to go out and do it. And then at the end of the week, to take pictures and realize that you had such a good time. And then after, having pops with the group after a long day is just so much fun.
So you don't need to have a baseball background to be at Fantasy Camp.
No, and even the ones that did have a baseball background, it doesn't help them at all. They're still awful.
They're still in the training room.
But it's all about it's all about having fun. I mean, if you can't have fun playing baseball for a week in Arizona where the weather's nice, and if you're in Colorado and it's snowing outside, to get out and work on your tan, who cares if you played baseball or not? It's just fun to go out.
All right, Spilly, thank you so much for that. And this next part we're going to do is called the Fast Five. So I'm asking you 5 questions pretty fast. Are you ready?
No.
All right, well, we're going to get started anyways. What is your favorite TV show?
Favorite TV show? Game of Thrones right now.
Favorite band?
I really like Mumford and Sons.
Favorite city to visit?
Now I like going back to my hometown, Santa Barbara. So, but as far as a player, going to San Diego.
Biggest pet peeve?
Biggest pet peeve?
Yes.
Oh man, that's a Pandora's box right there. When people don't say thank you.
Okay. Would you rather be confined to a room or be able to walk around anywhere but have to wear a giraffe costume?
Walk around in a giraffe costume.
You guys heard it first. Spilly will wear a giraffe costume. There you go.
Yeah,
Holding you to that.
I don't want to be in a room.
I wouldn't either. I would have gone the same route. Well, Spilly, since your biggest pet peeve is not saying thank you, I want to genuinely thank you for talking with us today.
Thanks, Allie. Appreciate it.
Everyone, that was your latest edition of Rock Talk with Ryan Spilborghs. I'm your host, Allie Sturm, and make sure you stick around for more Rock Talk coming soon.